Hi, I'm Felicity, a registered nurse, cosmetic injector and founder of the Fit Injector Clinic. Welcome to my channel and video podcast streaming on Apple, Spotify and YouTube. Today is episode 19 and I have Lauren, founder of Lilly Cosmetic in Penrith, joining me today. Welcome, Lauren.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. It is so nice to chat and I appreciate that you've driven a really long way to be here.
Yeah,
so
thankfully with all the new M4, M7 connections, it wasn't that bad.
Just zipped down here.
Yeah, zip down on all the highways, what are they called? Motorways?
Those ones?
Yeah, those ones.
Well, welcome.
Thanks.
So, Lauren, you're a registered nurse, a cosmetic injector, clinic owner and a mum.
Yes.
That's a lot. We could pretty much just stop there, couldn't we?
So much.
Now, we've been in touch via social media and we catch up at cosmetic nurse events for quite a few years now. And most recently, I've loved watching you grow, well, it's a few years now, grow into your new cosmetic clinic and watching your team grow. And you just have a huge range of services. It's very inspirational.
Thank you.
Today, we're going to chat about how you became a cosmetic injector, starting and growing your cosmetic clinic, managing a team of staff and having both beauty and cosmetic treatments in your clinic. So tell us about you and how you became an injector.
Okay, so I actually didn't go to university to become a cosmetic injector, but I always had a love for the cosmetic field. And my mum had said to me before, like, you know, when you were finishing school, you should do something, you know, that will be a stable job, something like nursing. And she's a nurse herself. So I was like, oh, but I really wanted to do beauty. She goes, if you went to university, I'd help you with your fees and you'll come out and trust me, you'll love it because you've got a good, you know, touch when it comes to nursing. So I went to university. I went straight from high school. She did help me through uni, which was good. And then when I came out, I did my new grad program and realized that I didn't like the shift work. Yeah. And I looked at different avenues of nursing and then I found the cosmetic side to things. And I had some anti-wrinkle myself and then they had a nurse role going. So I was like, okay, I'd love to give this a shot. And I hadn't finished my new grad even yet. Like that's how early I'd gotten into it. Yeah. So they gave me a job and I worked there for a few years. And then I didn't really like the way that they did their style of management. So I thought, I could definitely do this better. But as a nurse, we don't have any business skills. Like that's not anything that they teach us at uni. So I thought I've got to do a different degree. Plus I'd like to learn the skin side of things because it's so important. And I looked at different courses and then I found the graduate certificate in cosmetic nursing through the AACDS. And I started that course and fell pregnant. Yeah. So I had left the clinic for a little while and kept working at the hospital. I used to work in the high dependency unit for a mental health unit and I worked there for a good 5 years. And so I was doing the course on like night shifts. So I was doing my assignments, finished the course, had the baby. And then 4 months later, I started my own business. And that's where Lilly Cosmetic Clinic came from. Yeah.
And in your podcast notes, was it the course finished and then you had your baby, was it the month after?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And then 4 months later, he was 4 months old when I started the business. When you started your business. Yeah.
Talk about multitasking.
Yeah. I thought, let's like get it. I'm that type of person. I'm like, let's do it and let's do it now.
You just, rip the Band-Aid off all in, deep end. And often that's the best way to do things, right?
Definitely. No procrastination. It's not going to be perfect. Yeah. You work it out on the way. Yeah.
Totally. So when did you start your business? What year and what was the motivator?
So the motivator was I started the business in 2016. Yeah. So 7 years ago now. We're going into the 8th year this year.
Congratulations.
And thank you. The motivator was primarily that I wanted to be there for my kids and I didn't want to have to do the shift work when I was working in the hospital. Plus, I knew that I could make a real good difference in the cosmetic field because I tooting my own horn here, but I felt like I had a touch for it and I just, loved it so much and I was good at it. So anyway, that was the main thing was that I wanted to make a difference in the cosmetic world and be there for my kids. My mum, unfortunately, which she's a nurse too, she wasn't able to make it to a lot of my awards or things that I did at school where I was on the stage. So I knew that I didn't want to do that with my kids. I wanted to make sure that I was there. So running my own business really gives you the flexibility, even though it gives you a lack of flexibility too. It's 24/7 running a business. But, you know, I'm able now to block out times to go and see my kids. And the good thing is if I do have to move a client around, they're usually really understanding because they don't want me to miss out because they've usually got kids and stuff too. So, it does give you a little bit more flexibility. Yeah,
it sure does. And I loved in your notes that you put that to date you've only missed one school event for your children.
Yeah, only one school event.
Hats off to you, Mama.
I'd missed the email that had come through and I felt
so completely unintentional.
Bad. Completely unintentional. Felt so horrible about it. And he just come home and he's like, I got an award today. And it was like nothing. And I thought, I didn't make it. And here I was with all of that mum guilt.
For missing an email.
Yeah, because I missed the email about it. Oh. Anyway, I haven't missed any since then.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Now, tell us about your decision to expand into your new premise, which you're now in.
Yeah. So we have just grown quite quickly, which I'm really, really grateful about. And I have the best team. And where we were located, we were just a little bit down on High Street, kind of like off the High Street, off the main road. And we were sharing with hairdressers, and we were able to expand there, and we were sharing the space, and it was great. It was absolutely great, but the rooms were a bit small, and you know, it was hard. We didn't have our own space to do events and things like that. So I thought it's really time to move to a space where we're on our own. We have the room to do events and things like that, which I really like to do, and also to have bigger rooms and something that was more my aesthetic.
Yeah,
that's the right word, isn't it? Like my feel and
your
touch.
vibe.
Because she did the renovations for her hair salon, which was gorgeous. And to be fair, I didn't really care too much because the rooms were my aesthetic.
Yes.
And I thought she's going to be really good at it. She's very creative. It'll be fine. And she did an amazing job, but it definitely wasn't Lilly Cosmetics vibe.
Yeah.
So I thought, all right, it's time. We were busy enough. So I went hunting for a place, which is so hard to do, especially in between the two lockdowns. That's when other people were starting businesses and stuff too. So rentals were really hard to come across.
They were, surprisingly.
Especially for the size. Yeah, that I needed. And then I kind of just fell into this one. I wasn't even meant to make it to the open. You almost missed it, right? I almost missed it. And then when I got there, as soon as I walked through the doors, and it's like these beautiful floor to ceiling glass doors and windows across the whole outskirt of it. I walked in, and even though it was absolutely trashed and had weird walls up and everything, I thought, this is perfect. This is exactly what we need. This is it. And it was right on the top of High Street, really good exposure. I thought, this is perfect. So I put the application in, was successful, and then, started the whole renovation process, which was a nightmare. But yeah. It was good.
Let's skip over that bit.
Skip forward the renovation process. We were able to move, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
The only problem is that we opened the week before the second lockdown.
Yeah.
So
which took everyone by surprise, that second one.
I was not prepared for it. We kind of had an idea that it was coming. Yeah.
You've just invested all this money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we go into a lockdown.
Yeah. I was gutted.
Yeah.
So gutted. I thought and I had some of my staff there 3 days straight, working till midnight, some of it just trying to get the final touches up, and the builder was there, and oh my goodness, it was intense, but it was the memories that I have from that was amazing.
Yeah.
Then to just a week later be completely shut down. I was so devastated, and so was my team, because we had just moved. Anyway,
we all moved on.
Yeah,
thank
we moved on.
goodness.
Thankfully, it's 2, nearly 3 years on.
We all survived that.
We survived, yes, we did.
So going back to the roots a little bit, for those of you who don't know, who is Lilly?
Oh, Lily. So Lily was
Because I know a lot of people go to call you Lily.
Yeah, a lot of people call me Lily and they think that that's my name, but it's actually not. My name's Lauren. But a lot of people don't know it. I had a dog named Lily, and she was a beautiful ruby-coloured King Charles Cavalier who I'd had from a really little puppy. And from the age of 6 months old, she was diagnosed with a heart problem, like a dysfunctional valve. I can't remember the name. It'll come to me later. And she also had hip dysplasia, which was operable but had a really low chance of success. So we didn't end up going ahead with it. So she was managed then on heart medication and pain relief from there on. And I had a huge bond to this dog. Like, we had other dogs as well, and they're boys and they're beautiful. And we had other cats as well, and we still do. Like, they're all here. The only one we don't have is Lily. But the bond that I had with her, it's like I knew I had to nurse her. And she never knew what was going on, and she had the most beautiful nature to her. And it's devastating to think that she didn't know what was going on, like, the whole time. It was so devastating for us to watch. So in the end, she had a heart attack. And we lost her nearly a year and a half ago now. And it was the week before I separated from my husband, but it was also a couple of months just after I had theft within my business, and like not a little bit of theft, a lot of theft. So it was a hard time, to say the least.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So anyway, the name Lily, it was two reasons why I named the business Lily. One, because I had this massive connection with this dog. And two, because the name, when you look it up, means beautiful, pure, white, all of those things which I wanted the clinic to be known for.
Yeah. Which is what you've created in your clinic.
And it definitely has something that I've created. We've got this absolutely stunning photo of her in the reception area, and it is huge. And it was done by a specialized pet photographer and printed with those amazing printers that they do, and framed. And it's in the reception area. So when people walk in the doors, you look to the right and there's nothing else around it. So a lot of people ask, why is there a photo of a dog in the clinic?
Conversation starter.
Yeah, it's a good conversation starter.
Yeah.
But once they realize that that's where the business name came from.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not. It's beautiful. Like, she was such a beautiful dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story.
That's okay.
So we've talked a lot about why you started. It's very powerful. Who are you as a team now, and what do you provide for your patients?
So who we are as a team. So like I had talked about before, I wanted Lilly Cosmetic Clinic to be able to see and treat patients with the utmost holistic care and with the new and best practices. So I had started as just a one-man band, and I was working from, I rented spaces around New South Wales, including up in Lithgow.
I wanted to ask you that, actually. It came to my mind before.
Yeah, and I loved it. I really loved it. It was such a good starting point. And then we got quite busy, and I was busy enough to leave the hospital. So my cousin Katie had then started with me, and then for a very long time it was just me and Katie the whole time. She's a beauty therapist too. Yeah. So she was able to do the beauty side because I was doing all of that, being dermal therapy trained. Yeah. I was able to give that side to her. Yeah. And then we rented that space in the hairdressers, but it was only 2 rooms at the time before we then expanded to 5. And that was before we expanded to where we are now.
Yes.
So we then went from just Katie and I to, now a team of 10.
10.
Yeah, we've got 10.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. I sometimes think to myself just how grateful I am to have the team that I do, because they're amazing, and I'm really, really strict in my interviewing process and stuff. So anybody that does come through the door, you need to understand, everybody needs to understand just how strict I am with the interview process, and how much I go for the energy that they bring and the vibe. And the experience that they bring, you know. So you know that they're amazing people. If I'm going to hire them, they're amazing. And poor buggers went through like a panel of 3 people, and they were probably like
Grilling them.
Yeah, grilling them, like all of these intense questions. So, you know, they're amazing people. My whole team are just very real, down to earth, all registered nurses, doctors, we've got beauty therapists, and everyone's received like the highest levels of education and training, and they all perform all of the latest and most improved treatments and therapies for our clients. So we're just a team who are dedicated to providing the most therapeutic, honest and valued care to the highest possible standard. We don't just perform cosmetic injectables too. Like we do relaxation treatments, advanced skin treatments, body treatments, massage, energy healing, which is new on our list. All beauty services, cosmetic tattooing, you know, counselling, babysitting, all of those things that come with when you have a business. Of,
babysitting, dog sitting.
Yeah, one of our beautiful
emotional support.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know how many times I counsel people in a day.
Totally.
So my psych training definitely has not gone to waste.
No, very good background to have.
It is the best, I think.
And then you look like you have a lot of fun as a team from what I see on social media. And you also, we were talking about off air too, you have this huge reception area, so you're able to hold a lot of events and exciting things that you do.
And the latest thing that we've been doing, so we do like VIP events, right, which most people do anyway in their business. I hear about it all the time. But the latest thing that we did was workshops, like skincare workshops. So we were training, workshopping people on how to use masks and why they should be using masks each week and how to put it on, how to apply it. And we had all different masks and we explained all the difference between them. And it wasn't rep based. Like, you know, a lot of the time I'm the one that's doing all of the workshops.
You're organising them and coordinating them.
Yeah, which is
that's great.
Nice. And the team are all on board with that and they love doing it
and
too.
they love doing it. Yeah, that's important that they all support that.
Yeah. They're so good.
So tell us about managing your team of staff. So how many? Well, you've just mentioned you've got 10 staff members, which is amazing. The different service you provide and the different structures you have for your team members and also staff retention. I think you can really speak to other business owners here.
Yeah. So we like managing a team is probably something that they should have focused more at uni, because we do a lot of team leading roles when we're working in the hospitals, but I feel like we don't do enough of that at university. So like managing a team has been something that I continuously work on even to date. I worked out at university that my management style was laissez-faire, which probably isn't the best one to have when you own a clinic. But, you know, I've had to adapt this management style over the years and I think that I'm doing a pretty good job, so long as I do some background work from time to time and realize, you know, sometimes you need to give a little bit more direction to people and not just hope that they're
reading your mind.
Yeah, read your mind. So you'd think that after 10 years of nursing and 18 years working with teams of people that I'd probably get a grip on my management style, but, you know, I'm still working on it. I found that it's something that I've just had to constantly change and work on, and everyone has a different way of working and trying to pull the absolute best out of your team members individually, which can be so exhausting. But I did have a manager before, and she did have to leave to go and help with her husband's business, which I'm so happy about.
And she'd been with you from the start.
She'd been with me from the start, yeah. So Katie went from...
She was your first employee.
She was the beauty therapist. And then because we were growing so fast and I had so many clients that just wanted to see me, I wasn't able to do all the managing. So Katie helped out and she was doing the management stuff. And then when she left, it's been a little bit of a restructure in relation to hats and things like that.
Some big shoes to fill.
Big shoes to fill. I feel not sad. I feel a little bit sorry for the team that have come on, especially with my laissez-faire management style.
So it's still there. I love the honesty.
It's still there, yep. But yeah, I found that doing lots of team meetings and like getting to understand each person as an individual and doing one-on-one meetings, and then doing yearly plannings and lots of plannings where the entire team is involved, even if they're a subcontractor or whatever renting a space. I try and get them involved as well, so then everybody understands where they're meant to go in relation to like with the business, where the business going, and everybody has their role and they understand it.
Yeah, and so they're all on the same sort of page.
Yeah.
And because for, speaking to, so many injectors or business owners out there, most of us start at those one-man bands, like you called it before. And so you're not a manager. You're not, you don't know how to lead these sort of teams of people. And then like you touched on there, everyone is so different. And as soon as you bring a new person in, that can change the dynamic of everything.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I learned going from being on my own, and I was maxed out and I needed help, was then coming in here and having staff, was actually how much I learned about myself.
Definitely.
And how much I had to grow. This was a whole new role for me.
Yeah.
And while I'm trying to support other people in their new role, I'm like, I need to give myself support in this new role so then I can be the best person I can be for them.
Yeah.
So that was probably the biggest eye-opening thing in the last 12 months for me.
Yeah. And when it comes to like having that sort of like, the self-awareness and the self-development that you need to keep working on, I am in a group of other business owners, and they're not cosmetic injectors. They're literally everything under the sun. And we're called the K2. We work with Kerwin Ray. Kerwin Ray's the owner.
Yes.
A lot of people would know his name. But I am a part of the K2 Elite group, and I go to conferences every quarter, and we are closely followed by like our teams, our little teams who have leaders, and they've also got, other like senior leaders and stuff. So, we're closely followed, and we're meant to be hitting our goals every week and all the rest of it. And it's hard work, but it definitely keeps you accountable. Having another group of professionals helping you along the way, and definitely so much learning. I have learned so much about myself in this process, and not only like just through the K2 team, through having a divorce, finding out my little one has disabilities, through the death of my dog, like all of the theft in my business. And
this is all in the last
oh my goodness, 18 months this has all happened. So I have completely changed as a person. I'm definitely not the person that I was then. And they say that you do have that happen up to 7 times in your lifetime. You can change a full circle. So here I am 18 months later, a different person, but totally ready to rock and roll and get on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got a really big group, and I'm the type of person that is very trusting of people, and I really should not be as trusting as I am, but I think it just comes with my nature. So I unfortunately was contacted by my accountant, who said, I need to have a meeting with you. And he said, Lauren, I'm really sorry to say this, but you're down $250,000 and you have theft within your business. And if you don't work out where it's coming from, you're not going to have a business. And I was like so upset. Like I just thought, oh my goodness, where would this have come from? That can't just come from off the shelf products like this. What's happened?
Of money.
That's a lot of money. It is over a 12-month process, period, but that is a lot of money to go. And I then went deep diving into the business. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to tell my staff, which was probably a good thing because
But you had to continue working while knowing this was going.
Yeah. And so I didn't make a lot of changes, but I did make sure that I was doing a lot more checks. And then when I had the time, I went back on receipts, cash, drug book, products off the shelf.
Oh.
Yeah. And worked out that it was a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so I ended up having to let those 2 staff members go. There was 2 that were the main culprits, and there probably was more, and there was probably other things going on too, but there was definitely 2 that I had hard evidence for, and one of them was a friend of mine who was a friend of mine for 17 years, so that hit home. So anyway, I let them go. I moved on with it. I didn't charge them because I'd have to get a forensic investigator in, and that no one realizes that process is so expensive,
Massive.
so time consuming.
And you've already lost this income.
I already lost the income. I already lost the friendships. Like I just thought this is a big learning curve for me. Definitely, Lauren, you need to not be so trusting of people, and you need to be very diligent when it comes to your business. So I made those changes within the business. We are strict now. We are to the book with things. Every now and again, there might be, everything's not always going to balance.
Like a normal discrepancy.
Normal discrepancies, not like massive discrepancies. I reviewed the figures.
Like when your accountant calls you, that's wild.
Yeah. And it was my accountant that found it. I probably wouldn't have known. I would have kept going on just thinking,
And
shit, we're flying through product. Where is all this product going?
Ordering.
Yeah. The amount of products that I was going through, I thought, we're not making enough money to be paying for all this. This isn't balancing,
I'm buying more than I'm selling. What's going on here?
Yeah, it ended up being like a lot. But anyway, I moved past it, and ever since then we've not had any issues, touch wood.
Yeah.
It's not to say that it won't happen, but
I hope that's real.
I just hope it doesn't happen to anybody else. And if anybody ever wants to approach me and talk to me about it, like, I'm more than happy to give you my advice. Or if a lot of people don't talk about these things, like, the whole divorce, the theft, the losses. No one wants to talk about these things because they're the nasty things in life. And
everyone's, going through or will go through something in their lives. We've all got something, and I think let's talk about it. And definitely with this theft in your business, you're not the first cosmetic clinic owner that has talked to me about this happening. And I think statistically, unfortunately, that this will happen to a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
So, let's get it out there. And like you said, if people do want to reach out to you and
they definitely
with how to manage it,
advice.
and I just hope that it never happens to you again.
Yeah, and I hope that it doesn't happen to anybody else, but please don't think to yourself, oh, that'll never happen to me, because I did, and I am still paying the price now. It's been 18 months, and I'm still paying the price now, but it's definitely a lot better making those changes. Yeah. The dynamic in there has changed. The feel of what is the word for it?
The vibe,
but the
energy,
the culture. The culture has changed, and it's improved. The team culture has improved. Yeah, and it's a lot. It is better now. Everything's calmer in there. Yeah.
It's a lot of hats to wear as a business owner. And, as you grow, yes, you might not be focused on as many things. And I guess, unfortunately, things can be happening without you even realizing it. So, really, I guess, taking that step back and like, am I triple checking? You want to obviously put those trust in people, but at the end of the day, you've still got to be, overseeing absolutely everything and having good people behind you, like an accountant who can hopefully pick up these things if you've been, totally. And it sounds like it was all happening in such a sneaky way that you wouldn't have known unless your accountant brought it up.
Yeah. And I have a slight feeling that they were working together, which is
going to ask
again
that.
very sad. I don't have hard evidence on that, so don't quote me just in case I'm wrong. But from what I do know, it feels that way, which is devastating.
It is.
Yeah. You trust these people with your life. You see them more than you see your friends. They're with you every single day.
They often know more about you than your family.
That's right. Yeah, it's definitely true. And then to be betrayed like that, that's probably one of the ultimate betrayals.
Yeah.
That and cheating.
Yeah.
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 Ultimate betrayals. So,
yeah. New year.
Oh, new
Onwards
year.
and upwards for you.
So excited for this year.
Hopefully a much more positive year. Another question I've got around staffing for you is, do you have a mixture, again, for other business owners out there interested? You've got a team of 10. Are they all employees, or do you have a mixture of structures?
Definitely a mixture of structures, and they're all different. Like everyone is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I have 2 subcontractors that literally just rent the space.
Yep.
I've got subcontracted registered nurses who still work under me, under my branding, and get an hourly wage, but just work a little bit differently in relation to like commissions and things like that. And then I have 2 beauty therapists, one who's full-time, and the other one who's casual, and then a couple of receptionists who are just casual. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so you've got quite a
Big
mixed
range.
structure there.
Yeah. And everyone's different, right? So it depends on what they're bringing in to the business. So I just treat them all. I treat them all the same. Like I see everybody as my team member. Excuse me. I see everybody as my team member. But everybody's got their own unique style that they're going to bring to the team, and so all of their roles are just negotiated in relation to like hours, pay, everything else that comes with it, like, room that they use, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But still, I look at them all as my team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's good that they all, whether they're an employee or they're a subcontractor, they've all got that culture that you've talked about. And I love that you call them all your team. I do the same here. We do have some subcontractors, but I'm like, our team.
Our team, yeah.
And we're very involved with them. I've, been a subcontractor at other places, and it was very much like I was on my own, didn't interact with anyone, but I definitely wanted here that they really feel part of that team, and we get them involved and we promote their services, and they really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think that's important. They're coming into your space, they're bringing that energy into your space, and if they're not rolling with great energy like you are, then it's just not going to work.
Yeah, and you don't want to disconnect between when people see you and then when they see maybe one of your subcontractors. You want it just to feel like they just come into your space and it feels the same for them every time.
They're all one. We're all one as a team at Lilly Cosmetics, or all one as a team at the Fit Injector.
Exactly, no matter who they're seeing.
Yeah.
So how do you gain new clients in terms of advertising, word of mouth? What works best for you?
Oh, so like a really big mix of things works for me. I found the whole marketing yourself side of things to be really hard to get a handle on over the years. A lot of our clients are word of mouth, which I am, oh my God, so grateful for.
Like the best.
That is the best. Like to know that a client has come in and said, oh, so-and-so recommended me. I'm like, oh, and you know the person too? Like, if you know the person, I'm like,
makes you all warm and fuzzy, doesn't it?
Yeah. Or if you hear, oh, the mothers group were all talking about you. I had to go here. And I was like, that happens all the time. And I think, oh my God, I'm grateful every single time that happens. Yeah. But I haven't just used word of mouth for my marketing tactics, I guess you want to call it. We use everything from email marketing to SMS marketing to social media marketing, whether it's ad campaign or just boosting posts. And just recently I had employed a marketing agency to do the marketing side of things, and it has gone to crap, unfortunately.
Holding all that.
Yeah. So a little bit of advice to go out to cosmetic injectors or anybody that's listening to this that owns a business is please be absolutely clear with what you want and what you're hoping to achieve, because if you're not, and like I did, am very trusting with people, sometimes it doesn't work out. And in this case, it hasn't worked out for us, and it's been a very expensive lesson for me. I feel like the last 2 years have been a very expensive few lessons.
It's just cost you the last. Can we manifest some wealth and
yes, I actually do that.
Positivity for you this year?
I I do a lot of manifesting.
Good. Me
Yeah.
too. I've gotten into it recently.
Yeah. So that's been hard.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And you are very good at your social media. You're good at, putting yourself out there, putting your face on camera, getting your team on camera. So what were your reasonings for wanting to seek the services of a marketing agency?
With the changes that we had in relation to our team, a lot of the marketing side of things I just couldn't get to. And a lot of the ad campaigns and that sort of stuff, like creating a funnel and things, I know how to do it because I learnt that in K2 and in like Kerwin's other programs. But I never have the time to do it, and you've constantly got to keep tweaking it. So I thought, I'll employ a marketing agency to do that and to help out with the social media content side of things. But I wasn't that clear. I thought that I was clear, but I obviously wasn't that clear. And there's a really big difference between having a marketing manager and a social media manager. They're very different. So, I can't remember what the question was.
I think you've answered it.
Okay.
So we've definitely touched on some highs and lows of business. How do you work through these and, sort of turn up every day and be positive for your team?
I do a lot of things behind the scenes. So if we want to talk about behind the scenes, I do a lot of work on my mental health, my family. I like to spend a lot of quality time with my family and my friends that I've, recently had to adjust with the divorce.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, I work on myself in the background. I work closely with my GP, and I do have a psychologist, to work through all the hard times that I've had in the past 18 months and even before that. But in relation to like coming into my team and always having the positivity is I communicate really well, and I don't let my team just assume or I don't let them in. It's not like I don't let them in on the other things that are going on in the business and in my life. I communicate everything to them because, like I said, we work so closely with them every day. We see them more than our family and friends. So it's very important that they understand what's going on in your life as well, just in case you do have a bad day. And, then they can pick up the slack where you are for that day. And, everybody just is totally understanding of each other.
Yeah.
And then in relation to like improving my mental health, I don't just see the psychologist, but I do a lot of manifesting. I've been manifesting lately. I've been using the Project 369 method. I also do a 5-minute journal and gratitude every single day, and I even do it with my kids sometimes as well.
Good.
Yeah, we do. We listen to like affirmations on YouTube, and we do lots of cute things like that. And when I'm with my family, like if I've got my kids, obviously I share them with my ex-husband now. I just make sure that it's quality time with them.
Yeah.
So we're always doing activities.
Really switch
and
off, work mode
switch
off.
And I find that really helps with my mental health too.
Yeah.
They're getting so big now. So
they're both in school.
Yeah, they're both in school. My littlest one started kindy this year. And
Did you cry?
no, I didn't actually.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I think I've had a lot of tears in the last 18 months.
Yeah,
so
you've probably run out.
Yeah, I've run out of tears. But I was just so happy for him, because we got the diagnosis that he's got a couple of delays earlier last year, which I had an inkling that was already happening, but with the divorce and the marriage just got plummeting downhill, it kind of got a little bit missed and it was sidelined. And then when I finally got the chance, I was able to take him to the pediatrician and have all of that screened, and we did find some delays, and we've also found a problem in his ear with his hearing. So his speech delays could be because he actually can't hear properly. So we've got to see an ENT, and he's been going to speech therapy and OT and psychology, and so many appointments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you structure your time between seeing patients, managing your team, business admin, and being a mum? What a great question after we both went blank.
Absolutely. That is an ongoing process. I'm constantly working on my time management. I'll just refer
Some
to
days
my
you
notes.
feel like, well, I feel like this. Some days I've got all the balls and it's
Oh.
great, and other days we wake up and I've dropped them and I'm like, we're just not going to get there today, guys.
Oh, yeah.
And other days I'm like, we're winning, everything's good.
Definitely. And, every day is different depending on what's going on in the background.
Yeah.
But, yeah, structuring my time between seeing patients and managing the team and the business admin, including the BAS, oh, my goodness, and other admin, is just hard. And I'm still learning. But I can say in the last 12 to 18 months, it's been extra hard with the marriage breakdown, team members leaving and new ones starting. Divorce is definitely not something that I recommend for many reasons. They say that it's hard to make a marriage work, but it's also just as hard to get a divorce, and they're definitely not lying when they say that. And I can truly say that I did my best in trying to make the marriage work. We did a lot of marriage counselling. We also did one-on-one counselling. We had 2 different psychologists when it came to the counselling. We tried all kinds of things to make the marriage work, but unfortunately it didn't. So my communication styles and the techniques have definitely increased and gotten way better, like so much better now. And I've learned so much about myself. I think now I know myself inside and out, or at least I can hope so. And I know that there's always going to be self-development along the way, and I'm excited about that, right?
Yeah. But you've learned a lot.
So mum guilt is a thing that I've had to work on and worked on so much in the past 12 months. And I can honestly say that no matter what you end up doing, the mum guilt's always going to be there. Like no matter what you end up doing.
Let's just put it out there.
It's always going to be there. Especially as a single mum, it's like even worse because when you're with your kids, like you're the one that's picking up the slack. There's nobody to fall back on, even if you're having a hard day. And I've had plenty of hard days.
There's no second pair of hands.
Yeah. So,
and you're sharing the care of your children at the moment?
I share the care of my children. It's a little bit more my way. It's not quite 50-50, but it's probably like 60% my way. But I found that being present with the kids is probably the most important thing. So it's hard for them being between houses. So I try my absolute best to be as present as possible, and keeping the open communication even with the kids.
Because how old are they?
They're 5 and 7.
5 and 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like in relation to managing time and things like that, I'd spoken to them about what they wanted to do this year because they're both at school now. And my eldest said that he wanted to go to after school care. He didn't really want to come to the clinic anymore. Plus it's not really great. They're bored, right, at the clinic. It gets so boring for them.
Just sitting in the waiting area.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, you want to go to after school care? And I asked the little one, he was like, yeah, he's just like along for the ride, right? But they love it. Yeah. And they absolutely love it. They do so much at after school care. So, they both agreed to it. And my eldest one has a little friend that goes there as well. So that helps. And they're both really excited to go.
So that means you can then be at work in the afternoons.
Yes. Yeah. So the clinic's open Wednesday to Saturday and every second Tuesday. So on the Tuesdays, I can only work until 2, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I can work normal hours till 5, and I'm able to drop them off at 8:30 in the morning. So I can actually start at 9, and I haven't been able to do that for years. So that's really helped. But that is just something that's worked for me. And I thought that I'd, pop that one out there because a lot of people don't think about after school care or
and that
even
whole mum guilt, maybe not wanting, but guilt. The fact that they wanted to go.
Yeah, they wanted to go. And I was like, oh, I'm so happy about that. You can definitely
you can
go.
drop the mum guilt about that.
Yeah. And every day still there's a little bit of mum guilt. But the other day I picked them up from school and from after school care, it was at 5 o'clock and they can stay till 6. and they didn't want to leave. They didn't want to come home with me.
Well, I'll just go back and see another few pages.
I was like, all right, it's 6 o'clock from now on, guys. That's fine.
I'll go do a couple of sets of lips and come back.
Yeah.
So school day's now 8 till 6.
Yeah.
Their choice.
So it's amazing. Their choice. That's what they wanted. And you know what? They're off their iPads, which
That's
is
the other thing,
the
isn't
biggest
it?
thing. So if they're at the clinic, most of the time to keep them quiet, I put them on their iPads.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
that's never good for a child. Like we understand how screen time can impact negatively on their brain development. So I try and limit it, and we've been able to limit it to only an hour to an hour and a half a day max.
Perfect.
And that's not even every day nowadays, especially when they're at school. But in the holidays, we got down to an hour and a half, which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Because when I separated from my ex-husband, they were on their iPads a lot because I had to just do what I had to do.
It was the easy option for you, wasn't it?
It was the easy option.
Because you had to get stuff done.
Yeah, I did. I had to get
to
stuff
do what
done.
you had to do.
Yeah. And then I realized what little shits they were and worked out that the iPads contributed to that.
Well,
and, started to wind that time back. And now I feel like I've got my amazing kids back.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And they're playing with their friends and they're happy and they're learning.
Yeah.
And
It's nicer now.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
I've got a very good balance.
Yeah. And every day it's just adjusting and getting a little bit easier as you all find that new routine.
Yeah, absolutely. But remembering communication is the biggest thing, whether it's communication with your kids that are little or your adult kids or your staff or your team or your mum or your partner or your husband, your wife. Communication is definitely the biggest thing. Yeah. And when there's a communication breakdown, things can go sour real fast. Yeah. So remembering to communicate and not hold on to things. Yeah. Like things are going to happen. Like happen every day. But just put that aside. Put your feelings aside for that. Understand where your feelings are coming from, where you're feeling them, and where you can go with them if you put them aside is another thing. Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that you've got to work on over time. Yeah. But yeah, Mum Girl's always there. Definitely managing my time better now. Yeah. My relationship with my kids is much better. They're not on their devices, and the whole dynamic with the team is much better. And I'm in a new relationship too now. Aww. And that's working out so beautifully. Really? Yeah, so beautifully.
That's good.
Yeah, he's amazing. I never thought that something like a relationship like that could work that way. It would be so beautiful, and
when you least expect it, right?
Definitely. I wasn't looking, and he kind of came out of nowhere and literally swept me off my feet. Yeah, and I'm honestly so grateful.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
What events and conferences are on your list for this year?
Now, with all of the changes that I've had in my life, I have had to work out and work on my time and where I can spend my time going to those things, because it's a lot harder now. Yeah. A conference that is 150% on my list is Raw. Yeah. Because I missed it last year because I had a hens party, and I was so sad because that's my favorite conference of the year. So 150% Raw. A lot of the what are they?
Like trainings, those workshops with the pharmaceutical companies. Yeah. And they're good because they're a day or a half day. So it's easy to manage.
I do have one of those coming up with En Vogue, and I'm really excited about it. But
is that in next Monday?
I think so.
Yeah,
you're going?
See you there.
I love it.
And we get to get hands-on too.
Yeah, I'm hands-on too. I'm so excited.
I'll see you there.
Yeah. So just little workshops and things like that, and maybe some nights if I can make it to them. The nights are definitely very hard.
And the long ones, the ones that go for, 3 or 4 days, plus you've got to travel interstate. Like it is a lot. And especially last year, because I just opened this big clinic, I was like, I cannot do any big conferences. I went to a few little things by the end of the year. But like this year I'm ready to go to one more big one. But it is hard taking time out from your team and kids and all of the things.
Yeah. I've got a conference with the K2 coming up.
Yeah,
I think in March. So I've got that one, which is a 3-day event, but thankfully it's not on my weekend. So I didn't have to restructure where the kids are going and stuff.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can make it to a big one. If anything, I might go to the Fresh Life conference because I really enjoyed that first one. I went to the first one. So we'll see. Depends on when it is and where it is, and hopefully I'll be able to go. But Raw is my number one. I'll definitely make it to Raw this year.
Great.
Yeah.
Might see you there.
Yeah.
And obviously you've been through a lot in the last few years, but do you have anything that you're going to be doing, like any new things you're going to be bringing into your business this year, any new treatments or devices?
Yeah.
If it's a secret, we'll skip over it.
Oh, it's not a secret. We're both doing the training next week. So barbed threads is something that's always been on my list. So I'm getting training, I think it's next week, on that, which will be exciting. I'm not too sure about those new what do we say? Is it
polysaccharides? Yeah,
I'm not too sure on them yet. I even sat on the fence about that other injectable that came in last year.
Bio remodeling.
Yeah. I sat on the fence and then didn't end up bringing it into my clinic. So I don't think I'm going to be bringing in too many new things because I've got a lot of things and I know that they work. And when we get the right treatment plan together for the clients and they've got enough education, I think a lot of building the skills of my team is much more important than bringing a new device or service in at this point in time, because we are at that point in our business where we do have everything. Pretty much.
Great.
Everything we need, answer. We have it.
Working on the team.
Yeah,
great.
Just working on the team.
Working on your skills.
Yeah.
I like that. And I'm definitely sitting back on a lot of these sort of new injectable things instead of jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
I'm sort of sitting back a little bit more, seeing if they're popular, over the course of this year, might consider bringing them in, but just holding off because we've got a lot. And I also don't want to overcomplicate it for us and for patients as well when, choosing different treatments.
It's already a lot when you say to them, oh, we could do this treatment. There's always at least 3 things that come to my mind when somebody says anything about their face.
Exactly.
There's always at least 3 things and the patients can get very confused.
Even when you tell them 3 things, it can be too much.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't like to overcomplicate things. I know that what we have works. So yeah.
Totally. Good.
Yeah.
I like that answer.
Yeah.
Now, I did get some questions on Instagram.
Oh, awesome.
So I'm going to ask you those now.
Yeah, ask away.
So, first one, best advice, this was from another clinic owner, best advice you would give when managing staff?
To mind your feelings.
Oh.
Yeah. Mind your own feelings and have very, very good emotional intelligence. That is probably the biggest word of advice. If you don't understand emotional intelligence, you need to start looking into it now. I'm actually going to be doing a little subdivision to my business where it literally will be training, coaching, and those sorts of things like emotional intelligence and managing staff are on my list of things to do trainings on, because I know as a psych nurse it's super important to have emotional intelligence, and if you don't understand where your emotions are coming from when they come up in a conversation with a staff member, it's important to know so that you can manage the staff member without your own emotions getting in the way. So definitely minding your own emotions would be the number one thing, and having an open mind to what they're about to tell you, why and how, and all of the different ways that you could approach the problem if it's a problem, or approach the dynamic if there's a problem with the dynamic, or the dynamic just needs to shift or change a little bit. Be open-minded and put it to the staff to give you their opinions and their advice also, and always work as a team. We know as nurses we're drummed into us that we need to work as a team, and you should see me drum that into my beauty therapists and anybody that's not, even the admin, anybody that's not a nurse, because obviously we're drummed from university and into the hospitals. So anybody that's not a nurse, I drum into them teamwork. Everybody needs to be on board, and why, and Yeah. And have regular meetings. We have regular 2-hour meetings every month.
Right.
And every quarter I try to do a little bit of a longer one, like a quarter. Every quarter do a half day, and then every year I do a minimum of 1 full day of intense meeting, going through the mission all the way down to like steps of things that we need to be doing for our patients or for each other.
Everyone's on the same page.
Everyone's on the same page. Yep.
Yeah, I like that. Emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence is number one.
That's a great answer. And I'm going to divert a bit before I ask you the next question. Your training, your little sister business that you put in the notes.
Yeah. So
didn't know about this.
Yeah. So it's still in the works. I was planning to launch pretty much in February, but my little one was starting school. So, working and the little one starting school and all of his therapies and, my own stuff, it just was a little bit too hard to launch. So this month I've got a little bit of time, not a lot because we've got training on Monday. I've had this today. I've got a lot, like we're open the clinic every fortnight on Tuesday. But I do have more time than I did last month. So I'm going to be working on putting the final touches together so that I can launch Lilly Aesthetic Academy and Coaching.
Lilly Aesthetic Academy and Coaching.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Watch this space.
Yeah.
Love it. Next question. Oh, we have answered this, but the question was, are all your staff employees? But we've answered that you've got a mixture of employees, subcontractors, between full-time, part-time, casual.
And my little bit of advice when it comes to that is be open-minded about that, because not always will it work having a full-time employee. So be open-minded about maybe how it might work if you put somebody on as a subcontractor and pay them a commission instead of an hourly rate, or pay them, a little bit less of a commission and an hourly rate, but them still be subcontracted to you. Yeah. Think about all of these different things that could definitely work for a business, especially if you're still growing. Yeah. And that ends up working better for them sometimes also. But, ask around. You're more than happy to answer any questions that anyone might have, but definitely just keep an open mind to that. Yeah.
Not everyone has to be on the same structure.
Yeah. Not one size fits all with having a team. So, you've got to definitely make it work.
Which leads into the next question here, which is, as your business grows, how do you know when it's the right time to bring on a new team member?
You don't.
That's the best answer ever. Podcast done.
You definitely don't. I find that I do most of my thinking in the shower or in the car.
Too.
So I will constantly think, so long as I'm on my own. If I'm with somebody in the car, then there's definitely no thinking going on. Like, I'm always in conversation, if you haven't noticed.
Not at all.
But if I'm on my own, then obviously I'll be thinking about it. And if I start to think and feel the pressures of something going on, whether it be from the beauty side, the injector side, or the admin side, or the financial side even, that's when I start to think outside the box. How can I fix this so that I don't feel these pressures? And that's when I usually come to the conclusion that I need another team member in any of the fields. Yeah.
That's good. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
I'm at that little crossroads at the moment where I need to bring on some more team members.
Yeah.
And it's just that sort of taking that, I guess.
Taking the leap.
Like you're waiting for this feeling of like, is this timing right? But like you said, you just kind of have to.
And you don't know if that timing is right. And you, as business owners, you are going to fail from time to time. And putting somebody on and then realizing 6 months later that they weren't the right fit for you, or they leave or whatever, that not always is a failure, because there's a lot of benefits that come to that, but
You learn a
it's
lot.
a massive learning curve for you. Yeah.
And I think we've had, unfortunately, we've had some team members that haven't worked out with the nursing side of things. And I think that's why I have really taken a long time to make my next decision, because I really want to hopefully get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I would think about different payment structures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Next question. When you do bring on a staff member, how do you structure your onboarding and training? Do you really rely on your suppliers and the rest of your team, like before you step in, or do you sort of take?
Are we talking about more just as an injector?
Let's
like
say
if
for
I was to bring
injectors.
on an injector, I don't rely on on anybody but myself.
Yeah, you do it from the get-go.
I'm a very advanced. I don't think I could call myself an expert, because I really need to understand what an expert is involved. But I don't know. I'm feeling like I'm on the way
On the way?
Yeah, I'm
You've
definitely
been doing this a while.
Yeah, 10 years I've been a cosmetic injector, and 7 years full time. So, and I've got a lot of background in it, like a lot of extra degrees and things like that, a lot of extra training. So I'm definitely very advanced. So when it comes to bringing on an injector, I don't rely on anybody but myself. And I do a lot of training, lots of shadowing. They'll have lots of shadowing, and we do big trainings on every single area of the face, even if they've done it before, even if they're feeling confident. I make sure that they are doing it the way that the business is known for.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, my last newbie that I had on, she was absolutely gorgeous. And it didn't work out purely because I couldn't give her enough hours, and she had to go back to work at the hospital full time. So it was just one of those unfortunate situations. And hopefully she'll come back to us in the future, because she's absolutely amazing.
Hopefully.
But her onboarding process took 3 months.
Yeah.
So it was like a very long time before I let go of a lot of things.
Yeah.
And then it was constant ongoing training.
Yeah. But that is so safe.
Yeah.
You're not bringing an injector in and going, okay, well, there's the room and here's some patients.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that injector, like you said, is doing it the way that, your business, what you're known for, and that, your patients are going to feel comfortable with someone who is trained to the highest standard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
And the first few times when she was not on her own injecting, but like injecting without me standing behind her, like she was seeing clients on her own, I made sure that she always had another injector on with her, so she wouldn't work on her own without somebody to support her.
Yeah. So she can get a second
and it took a long time for us to get to a point where, she was confident. She was probably confident beforehand, but, I just like to be – these are people's faces we're dealing with. So I just wanted to be definitely confident with myself and with herself injecting on her own.
Totally.
So, yeah, I let that took a little while to get there.
Yeah, totally. You almost want them to be saying to you, okay, I'm done with you now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if like anybody that's watching, and if we have time to put this in the podcast, anybody that's watching and listening that is onboarding a beauty therapist, I've done this a few times too.
Yeah.
I also am trained in dermal therapies. Might not know the waxing and tinting and things, that side of things, but every aspect of my business apart from the waxing and the tinting, I know how to do. And I know how to use all the machines. So I do a lot of the trainings, even on the beauty side of things, and then they go to the beauty therapist to ensure that they're doing those types of movements as well. So we've got a head beauty therapist that does help with those sorts of things. And then I do rely a little bit on suppliers, the reps, after we've done our in-house training. Yeah. So when it comes to the beauty therapy side too, I do a lot of that.
Yeah.
And it did take less time because it's not a needle to people's faces, but it still took a couple of weeks. And then even now, she's been with us for the latest one the last new beauty therapist that we put on. She's been with us for 5 months now. And even now we're still training her on certain things because she hasn't been trained to do it. Like she's been trained to do it at TAFE, but then never trained the way that we do things. So even still, we're doing lots of trainings with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ongoing, isn't it?
It's ongoing. It's definitely ongoing. And I think that should be the case for every business until, you know, they're fully confident in the way that they're doing it for the clients that we see.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for your answers.
No worries.
Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 19 of this video podcast series. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. A huge thank you to Lauren for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks
I'm
so much for your
grateful.
chat. I love that we went from business to personal and you were honest, and I hope that we speak to people out there and you've given some really good advice.
Thank you.
Thanks so
I
much.
like being honest and raw, and you'll find that on my socials too. I mean, I didn't talk about divorce and theft or anything on my socials because I don't want it to be a downer, but I am still the raw me on there.
Yeah,
like
you
you'll still get the raw me, and so I think that's
honest Lauren.
Honest Lauren. And I hope that this spoke to people out there who might be going through similar situations. It does feel like I'm a little bit gutsy talking about it, and you know, some people might be like, "Oh, I can't believe she spoke about those things," but you know, I just wanted to be raw and honest and true with everybody in case somebody else is feeling the feelings that I've felt in the last 18 months, and just know that you're not alone. And if anybody wants to reach out, you can.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.